Hi, I'm Carlin Borisenko. In early 2020, I was the knitting Democrat who accidentally went viral on the internet for going to a Trump rally and then left the party. I became the conservative darling, was on all the shows, traveled around the country, and then realized that conservatives were no better than Democrats. If there's one thing that I've learned, it's that both political tribes are two sides of the same coin. But it wasn't all bad. On my journey, I became obsessed with understanding the woke ideology and the culture war. I broke the story of the city of Seattle doing segregated training with its employees.
How bad has this stuff become? The city of Seattle has now put out, I'm not kidding you, this is according to Dr. Carolyn Borisenko, who's an organizational psychologist. The city of Seattle asked its white employees to voluntarily spend a day off in a training about their internalized racial superiority.
I broke the story that led to the first ever federal lawsuit against critical race theory in the schools. I broke the Coke Be Less White story, one of the biggest anti-woke stories of all time. It got over 30 million views. Coca-Cola's corporate headquarters even had to change their outgoing voicemail.
Throughout the past few days, you may have seen inaccurate reporting on the content of our recently launched diversity, equity, and inclusion training program.
I exposed the schools in Burlington, Vermont for grooming middle school children live on the internet. They called me an unwoke cult leader for that. And the Vermont Human Rights Commission slandered me publicly as being a hate channel. I even got called a hero in Breitbart for exposing that the Washington Post was writing a hit piece on Christopher Rufo. I have broken story after story after story about what's going on in the public schools, from Cambridge, Massachusetts, to autistic sex education, to the Department of Education in Michigan, literally training teachers all over the state how to groom children. I wrote a book called Actively Unwoke, the ultimate guide for fighting back against the woke insanity in your life. I host a podcast all about fighting back, and I'm downloading all of my knowledge to you on my Substack, carlin.substack.com. The world is a crazy place. We are literally surrounded by cults on all sides. On this show, we're going to do a deep dive into all aspects of the culture war, and I will show you the dark, dystopian underbellies on both sides. Here are the commitments I'll make to you. I will always tell you the truth. I will always bring you receipts. And if you stick with me, I promise you will see the world differently. Welcome to the cult. Please mount that like button for me and subscribe if you feel so inclined. Well, hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I hope you're having a great day. Welcome to The Cult. The Cult is a show that I do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 5 p.m., where we dissect the dark dystopian underbelly and look at all of the crazy stuff going on in the world. We look at the culture war from both sides. I try to look at it from a detached perspective where I'm not on the left, I'm not on the right. I think everyone's crazy. And we look at what they're doing and what it means for our experience in the world. And then on Saturdays at 6 p.m., of course, we do Socialism Saturday, where we dive into the furthest of the far left. We watch the most dystopian, crazy stuff that you will ever see in your life. We might actually do a socialism live stream tomorrow, because there is a live socialism event that I might be doing. We'll do a little midweek socialism. But today on The Cult, we actually have kind of a little mishmash of stories, to be honest. There's just a whole bunch of stories that I kind of had on my docket that I wanted to talk about. And so we're going to go through and talk about them. So the first one we're going to talk about is, do you guys remember Erin? Erin, she goes by Erin for Parental Rights online. And Erin was on the channel a few months back. This is Erin with her family. And I think there's a better picture of her. There she is right there. Erin Lee has been on the channel before. There is a whole interview with her. You can go back and watch it. But essentially, Erin had her child transed by the schools in an after-school club that she didn't even know her kid was in. And so she came on the channel a while back to talk about her experience. And now they've taken it one step further, where Erin and her husband, as well as another family, are suing the school district because, that's really the only way that you can fight back. Now, fun kind of anecdote, or I guess a happy coincidence. Do you guys know how yesterday on the stream we found this crazy, crazy, crazy educator equity and justice conference that we may or may not be working as a team to try to infiltrate to see what they're saying. Well, this conference is in Colorado. Aaron is also in Colorado. And so we might have an in for not only Aaron, but other people that Aaron knows to have some boots on the ground at this conference in Colorado. I'm following up on that as we speak. But guys, this is gonna be so good. But I wanna give you an update about Aaron's story today because I think that Lawfare suing the schools is really the only way to effectively fight back against them. And honestly, I don't even know that it's going to work, but it's going to cost them a lot of money. And that in and of itself might actually be the thing that matters most. So we're going to talk about that story. Then I've done a lot of coverage of the public schools in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and so I have parents in Cambridge who send me stuff every once in a while. And actually, last week I was sent this updated PowerPoint presentation from the Cambridge Public Schools, the Office of Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging. And I just want to show you guys where the Cambridge, Massachusetts schools are in terms of rolling out their dystopian Marxist utopia. And we're going to go through this PowerPoint presentation. And I'm going to show you exactly what they're doing. And yeah, we'll get an update there. And then there are just a couple stories like this one in which like we're going to do a couple stories today about the left-leaning media and how they are crazy distorting what's going on in the world. And so NBC News actually has this article where they're trying to make it look like conservatives who take over school boards are just like failing the schools in those districts, but they honestly make them look like they're doing an effective job. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the fact, and this is like breaking news. This just broke actually half an hour ago. You can see right there. I wasn't even planning on covering this, but apparently Vermont's governor, who is a Republican, technically, but is not really a Republican. You guys know that I do pay close attention to the schools in Vermont because I really do think that Vermont is going to become the first state like entirely built on equity. I'm particularly focused on the schools in the Burlington, Vermont area because they are just extra, extra, extra insane. Well, Vermont's Republican governor just signed a bill protecting access to abortion and gender affirming care. Now, I don't really care about the abortion piece all that much. You guys know I'm pro-choice. I'm not crazy pro-choice. I think that some of what's going on in the pro-choice, not even pro-choice, but pro-abortion movement is pretty gross. We'll talk about that more in a second. But like in terms of like protecting access to gender affirming care, I want to read this article and I want to see what's going on there. And then we're going to read something from MSNBC because oh, yes, yes, Kristen, Vermont is 9,000 times more insane than California. California still has a lot of conservatives in it. California, like they might have like a lot, they do a lot of crazy stuff, but Vermont has 75% approval with far left progressive policies. It is way more insane than California. It is also way easier to implement progressive bullshit in Vermont than it is in California. And so, yeah, California ain't got nothing on Vermont, nothing at all. So we are also going to read this article from MSNBC because I like reading left-leaning media because left-leaning media is so insane. And so we're going to read this from MSNBC. Is the new Republican worldview almost all news is fake. Oh my word. Wait, Red May blocked you? Red May blocked you, bot? Oh no, did Red May block me? Oh, I might hang on, let me check real quick to see if Red May blocked me. Because our friends Red May are who is now they still have not given me a copyright strike. They still haven't. Let's see. Did they block me? Red May Seattle. No, I'm still not blocked. I'm not blocked at all. Oh, only on YouTube they blocked your accounts. But you can always create more accounts. You can all it's a possibility. Anyway, guys, that's what we're oh, and one more story, and this is just kind of like a kooky story. Apparently, they captured photos of a UFO over the coronation. Did anyone see this? Apparently, when they did the flyover for the coronation, some spectator caught a photo of a UFO in the flyover photo. Like, so we're gonna look at that because it combines one of my two of my favorite things, aliens and royals. So, guys, that's what we're gonna do on the show today. We got a little bit of a mishmash of news. I hope you're here for it. I do just want to remind people a couple orders of housekeeping before we get started. Number one, over on my Unwoke art merchandise store, I have this limited edition Tucker Carlson merch that I created, a couple different Tucker Carlson designs, and I want to announce that this is your last chance. I'm pulling them out of the store. This is a limited edition, so if you want to get one and or both of these Tucker Carlson designs, now is the time to do it. You can find links. I just popped one in the chat. You can also head over to unwokeart.com. And actually, it's funny because one of my community members just did an unboxing of I'll show you the mug, not that, of that mug on our community call the other day. The colors look so beautiful. I was actually really impressed at the quality of it, but I've put this merch on a couple different things. I have two different designs, and I really like the Tucker in the headphones one. I called that one "Block Out the Haters" Tucker. I just think it looks so cool, to be honest. It's like I don't know. There's just something about it. And then of course we have the One True King design as well. You can still get these for a limited time only in the Unwoke Art store, but I will be pulling them down in a day or so. As a reminder, there is also still, because I changed the deadline because I forgot that we were in May. There is still time, but only a couple more days to get your entries into the Unwoke Art contest. Ignore the dates that I put in this entry because I blew past them rather expertly. But ignore the dates in this entry. This is how you enter it. I'm only going to allow entries for a couple more days, and then we're going to do a round of voting on the Unwoke Art contest, and you can use AI to create designs based on prompts that I've given you. And guess what, guys? You can win prizes. You can win a $100 gift card to my merch store if your design ends up winning. So I'd love to get a couple more designs in there. I know many of you have already entered your designs. You're doing some great work. But a couple more days to enter, and then that's it. And then we're going to do a public voting period, and it's going to be great. So that's what's going on in Unwoke Art. And I do just want to remind everyone, make sure you are subscribed to my main Substack, which is Carlyn, KARLYN .substack.com. I've got a couple things coming out, mostly around, I'm going to be doing a couple posts around this crazy Educator Institute for Equity and Justice conference that we discovered yesterday, because we're going to be doing a whole community activity around this conference. We are going to, and I feel fine saying this publicly on the internet because it's not just going to be me doing it. and even with myself, I won't be signing up under my real name, just so we're all clear. But this is a conference in Colorado that they have both a virtual streaming option and an in-person option. And I'm going to work with a rather large group of people already to infiltrate this conference. And I want to know what they're talking about, and I want to see what they're saying. And so what we're going to do is we're going to be infiltrating both in person and virtually, and ain't nothing they can do to stop us. Really, the only thing that they can do to stop us is to cancel their conference. That is the only way that they will be able to prevent us from infiltrating and recording their stuff and seeing it in person, because we're going to do both. I have already commitments from people in Colorado to go in person, and I'm not above like crowdfunding to fly people in, to be honest with you. And so it's going to be great. This conference is uber woke. And so I'm going to be posting some stuff on the Substack later today about just some of the things that we found out already about this conference. And I'm going to be doing a call out for people who want to be involved. Okay. Now, getting involved in the infiltration, you're going to have to go through a little bit of a vetting process, because I know many of you, but I don't know all of you. Okay. And I only want to make sure, like, if you let me just get down to brass tacks. If you are an active member of my community and I know you, then you are welcome to come be involved. If you are not active, like you listen in, but I don't know you or your name, then we're going to need to talk, because I only with these sorts of things, I only work with people that I know and trust, because it can be way too easy for spies and trolls to infiltrate what we are doing to try to fuck it up or to try to tell the conference what's going on. And so there will be a vetting process for getting in on this, and I will be putting more information about how to get involved in the Substack later today. And we're going to do basically a call for people to get involved. But please, guys, if I don't know you, it's not like I'm not saying you can't get involved if I don't know you. I'm just saying that I have to be protective and we have to have security measures in place, all right? Because you guys know I have hate watchers. Wave at them right now. I have people who hate watch me all day, every day. I have people who are obsessed with trying to destroy everything I'm doing. And I don't want one of them to accidentally end up in the group, because they could quite conceivably sabotage the efforts of all of us. Okay. So there does need to be a vetting process. If I know you, that's going to be a different thing than if I don't know you. And so even if you've been a long time viewer, a long time listener, but you're not active in the chat or you're not active in my community, I'm not saying you can't be involved. I'm just saying there's going to be a vetting process. All right. That's all it is, because we have to be protective. Now, I already know that there are a whole bunch of people who want to be involved in this. And I just want to say, too, I want to be really, really clear about this. We are not going to disrupt their event. I don't believe in we're not going to go cause a scene. We're not going to try to cancel them. I believe that these people should be allowed to say whatever they want to say. I just want to know what it is. I want to know what a queer endeavor, which is a subsidiary of the University of Colorado at Boulder, the School of Education at the University of Colorado at Boulder, which is a taxpayer funded institution. I just want to know what they're saying. But we are not going to disrupt their event. We are not going to cause problems for them. We're going to let them do whatever they want to do. We're just going to film it and record it and broadcast it on the internet out to everyone, just to show people what teachers are really learning when they're going to these sorts of conferences. All right. So more information coming soon on the Substack about that. Make sure you are signed up for it. I'm hopeful to get that up a little bit later on today. Also, I want to let people know, so when I was at the Socialist Conference, I got this little comic book here that is quite literally a comic book about self-managed abortion. How fun. And so last night on the Substack, I did write an article to show you all the pictures and all the pages inside the comic about the self-managed abortion. And so you can see that now. It's for premium subscribers only, but it's crazy. It really is, guys. It is a crazy comic book. Look at this on the cover. This was my favorite part of the cover. So you can see the comic book bot. I put the whole thing on my Substack last night. And so I like this one the best. It says, abortion, not just a issue, which means, and look, it's got the scars. Like, trans people can have abortions too. And they've got all of their abortion pills right in their medicine cabinet. And it says fund abortion, not cops. You can go on this organization's website and buy this comic for $5 that I got for free at the self-managed abortion tour. And while you're on the website to buy the comic, you can also get this very nice t-shirt that says fund abortions, not cops. And if you want to see the full comic, you can find that right now over on my Substack, which again is carlin.substack.com. And if you need a premium membership, if you haven't signed up for an annual membership yet, I am doing a contest. You can win a free annual membership. All you need to do is leave me a testimonial. And you might get entered. You're going to get entered into a raffle, and we're going to draw 2 names out of the hat, and they are going to win free annual memberships. Anna says, will the conference be reacted to by yourself? So Anna is talking about this conference. Well, yes, I will be one of the people reacting to the conference. However, just in case any haters are watching, it will not only be me. There will be several people involved in this. There are going to be many multiple peoples involved. There are going to be multiple backups involved. And so we're going to work it out. But yeah, I will be reacting to at least some of the conference on the day of, and we're going to watch a lot of it, and it's going to be so great. And hopefully we're going to get a lot of intel, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. Starry says, where do we enter the testimonial? That's a great question, Starry. So what you do is you go to win an annual membership, and what you do is you leave a comment. That's it. You leave a comment. I've kept the comments open on this one. And so like people that are not paid members can comment on it, which usually I do keep the comments closed to paid members only, but today we're going to do something a little bit different just for the purpose of this. If you don't want to post it publicly, that's totally fine. You can also email it to me at activelyunwoke@gmail.com, and that will get you entered as well. All right. Yep, Murphy's Pool. When we do this conference thing, we are no disruptions. No disruptions, guys. Like, here's the thing. Disrupting the conference makes us the bad guy. Disrupting the event is exactly what they want us to do. And do you know what would happen if we went in and disrupted this event and caused problems for them? They would say, look at these evil people. They don't believe in free speech. We're just trying to exercise our free speech. Why won't they leave us alone? If they didn't want to do it, well, don't come. I actually want to see what they're presenting. I want to see what they're saying. I don't want them to stop. I mean, like, if they cancel the conference because they find out that we're infiltrating them, like, you know what? That's their choice. But I'm not planning on being disruptive. I'm letting them say what they want to say. And if they're not saying anything crazy, then that's the best case scenario. It is entirely possible, although I don't think it's very likely, it is entirely possible that this whole event could go off without a hitch, and we infiltrate it, and we find out that they aren't saying anything crazy and everything they're saying is fine, well, and good. And that would be a best case scenario. But I don't want to influence them in that direction, and I don't want us to be painted like the bad guy. We always have to take the higher road. We always have to remember that everything we do will be used against us. And so if we're just watching and just listening, and guys, they're going to get the chance to make their case to us. So I think it's going to be great. I got a couple super chats I want to acknowledge. Thank you, Julie. I finished your book yesterday, and I wanted to say thank you. Great work. Thank you, Julie, for that. I really do appreciate it. And then let's see from the Philosophist. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. Dr. K, love it. That's exactly right. Just show what they're saying. Let people decide for themselves. We're going to pay our $100. It's going to be great. All right, guys, let's get into it. Please mount that like button for me if you have not mounted it already. And I want to do a shout out to everyone watching on Odyssey and Rockfin and Rumble, just making sure things are going good over there. Thank you guys for following along. I do appreciate it. Let's jump into our first story. Parents are suing over claims that teachers encourage their 6th grade daughter to join LGBTQ club, but keep it a secret. Girls were told if they are not happy in their bodies, they are transgender. 2 Colorado families, hang on, let me make this a little bit bigger. There we go. That good? Yeah. 2 Colorado families are suing their children's school district. Hang on, that's better. That's better for me anyway. 2 Colorado families are suing their children's school district over allegations that the teachers and administrators encourage their daughters to join an LGBTQ club and keep the activities a secret from them. America First Policy Institute and Illuminate Legal filed a lawsuit on Wednesday against the Pooter. I have learned how to pronounce this now. Against the Pooter School District on behalf of Jonathan and Aaron Lee and Nick and Leanna Jurek, whose 6th grade daughters attended Wellington Middle School, according to a copy of the law obtained a lawsuit by the Daily Caller. And I want to show you guys. So you can actually see this story of what happened. I covered it on the Substack. Let me show you. It was a little bit ago. That's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted at all. See all. Let me show you. Nope. Before that. This is going back into the archives a little bit. There's Aaron Lee That was a great conversation on the channel, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this. I actually covered this story even before I met Aaron because Aaron unveiled emails from the school district. And so you can actually go and see all of the emails where they're talking about this stuff. This is all public information. Aaron did a great job. And so that's all available in the Substack as well. And now that is the same person that is now suing. The activities of the Gay Straight Alliance were not known to the parents, and those who headed to the club's meetings actively encouraged students to keep talks about polyamory, puberty blockers, transgenderism, gender identity, sexuality, offing themselves, and name and pronoun changes a secret from their parents. Teachers also invited substitute teacher Kimberly Chambers, who is an executive director of Supporting Pride, Learning, and Social Happenings, or SPLASH, the organization that seeks to educate school-age children on the topics of sexuality and gender identity, to talk at one of their GSA meetings, which Lee's sixth grade daughter attended, according to the lawsuit. Chambers reportedly told the children that if they are not completely comfortable in their bodies, that means they're transgender, while giving a talk to the school club on May 4th, 2021. Guys, you have got to make sure you know what your kids are doing. I know this might seem overbearing, but Aaron Lee's daughter was convinced that she was trans within one meeting of this club. That's the truth. You can go back and watch the interview with Aaron. She talked about it. She was convinced she was trans within one meeting of this club. And then she got really depressed because her parents didn't know, and her parents didn't know what was going on. The child got really depressed, and the parents were trying to figure out what was going on, and it wasn't until like weeks later that their daughter told them what was going on, and the school never did anything. The school never notified them, nothing. And so this is serious, guys. You have got to know what your kids are doing when they're in the schools, and do not allow your kids to go anywhere near a GSA. GSA is like one of the ground zero places. GSA, which is now Gender Sexuality Alliance, it doesn't stand for Gay Straight Alliance anymore. It used to back in the day. Now it's Gender Sexuality Alliance. They also have things called rainbow clubs, which are exactly the same thing. You need to make sure your kids are staying away from those. Okay? And there's our splash teachers. A safe space for all youth, ages 12 through 18. We should probably take a look at them at some point. Don't those look like well-adjusted adults that you definitely want your kids learning from? The teacher also had children discuss what gender and sex they are attracted to, and gave students LGBTQ paraphernalia such as toys, flags, and other swag if they came out as transgender. Oh, so they got free sparkly things if they came out as trans. Oh, that's nice. The teacher told students that there was a higher likelihood of offing themselves by transgender youth, but the Lee family said their daughter did not fully understand what that even was at the time. Chambers also repeatedly told students it might not be safe to tell their parents what happened at the GSA meeting or to talk about transgender issues, and instead suggested they speak with her and other teachers. Check this out. She offered students her phone number and told them to connect with her on Discord so they could contact her at any time. So these people right there, same people in the photograph, they told Aaron Lee's daughter in the 6th grade that it was unsafe to tell your parents that you are at a Gender and Sexuality Alliance meeting. They gave her daughter free swag and sparkle and rainbow things if they came out as trans at the meeting. They then said, because it's unsafe to tell your parents, that you're at this meeting, let me give you my personal phone number and my Discord so that you can contact me privately and talk about being trans because it's not safe to tell your parents. Yeah, I would say that these people deserve to be sued. Maybe that's just my opinion. The Lees were excited that their shy daughter was asked to get involved in school activities because she had not been given many opportunities to make friends. But they were alarmed to find out that upon returning home from the meeting, she told them that she would be transitioning despite never having had any thoughts about transgenderism before the meeting. Their daughter has since said she no longer desires to transition, but endured a months long emotional decline of gender and sexuality confusion that included counseling and included thoughts. Okay, included thoughts. Now, here's what I always try to tell people. People say all the time, I can't homeschool my kids. I can't homeschool my kids. It's too inconvenient. I just can't do it. All these reasons I can't homeschool my kids. I don't know why you would ask a single parent to homeschool their kids, Carlin. Don't you know that people need to work? Don't you know that we have jobs? We can't homeschool our kids. Okay, fine. However, I promise you the inconvenience that you will experience figuring out how to homeschool your kids when there are all sorts of different solutions around that right now. There are family pods that get together to homeschool kids. There are all sorts of groups that can help you figure out how to do this. There are parents all over the country that figure out how to do this every day. And I know it's inconvenient and I know it's not what you want to hear and I know it's not what you want to do, but I promise you, the inconvenience of figuring out how to homeschool your children will pale in comparison to the inconvenience that you experience when your little darling comes home after secretly attending a meeting of the Gay Straight Alliance in which they are, Gender and Sexuality Alliance, not Gay Straight Alliance anymore. It will pale in comparison to the inconvenience of your little darling coming home after secretly attending a meeting of the Gender Sexuality Alliance in which the leader of the meeting, the teacher, says, don't tell your parents this, and then convinces your kid that they are trans when they are not trans. They have never had any thoughts of being trans. This has never been a thing except the school introduced it to them and then gave them all sorts of sparkly things and rainbow paraphernalia and flags and t-shirts and whatever if they just come out as trans at the Gender Sexuality Alliance meeting. And then your kid comes home and they don't tell you what's going on because the teachers at the school have said, don't tell your parents. This is a secret. You won't be safe. Your parents might kick you out of the house. Your parents aren't going to love you anymore if you come out as trans. So just don't tell them. So your kid doesn't tell you what's going on, but your kid starts to get depressed and anxious and have all sorts of problems. Even though the kid was fine before, now there are real problems. And you don't know what's going on until months later when the kid finally breaks down and tells you. And then you have to put your kid in therapy for months and months and months and months and months to deprogram them from the nonsense that they heard at the Gender Sexuality Alliance meeting. I know that homeschooling is not convenient for many people, or you don't perceive it to be convenient. But I promise you, it's going to be a whole heck of a lot better. Your kids are going to do better. Your kids are going to learn more. Your kids are going to be protected from all this insanity. And I'm not saying it's a guarantee that the schools are going to trans your kids because it's not. It's really not. Kids go to school every single day without being transed by the school district. However, if your kids are shy, if your kids are autistic, if your kids maybe are not part of like the cool kids club, they maybe don't fit in. They're kind of like they're kind of like in the out group sort of thing. Those kids are particularly susceptible to this sort of thing because what happens when they come out as trans is all of a sudden everyone wants to be their friend and all of a sudden everyone's giving them positive affirmation. All of a sudden, like these people who they never talked to before, they want to be their friend and they're saying, "Oh my God, you're stunning and brave and beautiful," and they're getting all this positive reinforcement. Those kids are particularly susceptible to that sort of thing. And so Erin even said her daughter was shy. Her daughter wasn't involved. This is the thing that got her daughter involved. I was shy in school. I am absolutely convinced. I've thought about this a lot. I am absolutely convinced that if I had gone to school today, I'm a massive tomboy. I have never ascribed to gender stereotypes. I had crazy hair in schools. I was always really rebellious of what the status quo was. I am absolutely convinced that if I went to school today, they would absolutely trans me. 100%. And I think a lot of people can look back and say the same thing. And so, I understand homeschooling is not what you want to do. But do you want to deprogram your kid? Just think about it. The Urich family is suing because their daughter was subject to a lot of the same treatment as Lee's daughter, where students were told by WMS art teacher and staff sponsor of the school-sponsored GSA club, Jenna, that if they do not like their bodies, they were most likely not the gender they were assigned at birth. Really think about this. They're telling kids during puberty that if you don't like your body, you're not the gender you were assigned at birth. Does anyone like their body during puberty? I don't think so. In addition, Jenna encouraged secrecy, confidentiality, and suspicion about whether or not her parents could be trusted with these discussions and invited the Urich's daughter to attend a meeting with Splash, the organization that Chambers was associated with. Following the meeting, their daughter began to have her first thoughts of offing herself and started leaving notes for her parents about transgenderism and stating she was aromantic and asexual. In the fall of 2021, she started to question her gender identity. I really want to this is a point that hasn't been emphasized enough. What they're doing is they're taking perfectly healthy kids that are going through the socially awkward stage that many of us have gone through. They're telling them they're trans. The kids believe them because these are their teachers. They're supposed to believe them. They're supposed to trust them. And then the kids believe they're trans and they start to hint around about it. And in the process of that, they're creating such massive cognitive dissonance in the heads of these kids who are not emotionally mature enough to even understand what's happening that the kids are getting depressed and suicidal. The process that the schools are putting these kids through is making them depressed, is actually impacting their mental health very severely. So anytime you hear one of these trans activists say that if you don't allow your kids to trans themselves, then you are going to literally kill them. No. If you try to convince a child that is already confused enough, that is already having enough to deal with in terms of like going through puberty and like not been feeling awkward and all of that, and maybe not, not fitting in other than that, and then you try to convince them that they're trans, like when they're not, it creates massive cognitive dissonance in their head. They're getting really confused, and that confusion is leading them to be depressed and suicidal. We have heard story after story after story after story like this. There was another story I covered on my Substack. Here, I'll show it to you. There was another story I covered on my Substack a while ago. Where is it? It was around the same time as that other one. This one right here. New York teacher and elementary school sued for secretly transitioning a 10-year-old. This is also a lawsuit, by the way. You can go and see the lawsuit for yourself. But the parents found out that this teacher was secretly transing their 5th grader, 10 years old, 5th grader, when the 5th grader, several months after this teacher started using a different name and different pronouns than the parents were using, the 5th grader ended up in the school psychologist's office after having drawn pictures that indicated they were having thoughts of offing themselves. We've seen this over and over and over and over and over again. This is massively impacting the mental health of these kids. Following their meeting, we saw that already. After her experiences at the GSA club, her relations with her friends deteriorated, and she was not comfortable with the idea of potentially taking classes with them. The daughter's well being underwent a significant decline to the point where she asked to be homeschooled. That might have been a blessing in disguise. She eventually, bro, she eventually attempted to off herself by drinking bleach and has since verbalized that her disturbed emotional state began when she attended the GSA at the middle school. So again, I'm going to say it one more time. I understand that homeschooling your kids is not convenient. Although I would argue it's going to be more convenient in the long run. I understand that it requires you to make sacrifices. I understand that it requires you to look at life in a way that is fundamentally different than you've done before and were prepared for. I really do get it. I understand that many people are using the schools as babysitters. It's taxpayer-funded babysitting. I get it. But do you see? Do you see what happens? This is not unusual, guys. We have seen so many stories like this in the past couple of months. Is it worth it? Is the state-sponsored babysitting worth it? I'm sorry this is hard. I really am. I am sorry that the schools are not the same schools that existed when you were in school. I am sorry they've taken them over. I am sorry that this is the current state of affairs. I am sorry that it seems like there is no other option except to pull your kids out of the schools. I really, really am. I wish this wasn't the case. But this is the reality that we're dealing with. This is reality as it is right now. And it's not going to get better. It might someday, several decades from now, if everyone really hunkers down and starts doing what's required to actually fix the situation. But I'm telling you, if you have kids in school right now, the situation is not going to improve while your kids are in school. This is a generational problem to fix. Not a year, not a couple years. Any influencers that are telling you we're winning, they are lying and they don't understand what they're talking about and they don't understand how change management works. The left built this up over the course of the last 5 decades. This is the end result of 40 to 50 years of a battle of inches every single day. You don't fix problems like that overnight. You don't fix problems like that in a year. You don't fix problems like that in 2 years. You don't fix problems like that in 12 years. This is generational. So I'm sorry, but the only choice that makes sense to me is people with school-age children need to get them out of the public schools. School choice is not going to fix this problem because it's in all the schools. So you can send Johnny to the school down the street and Johnny's still going to be able to get into a GSA. And Johnny's still going to be taught by the same teachers that graduated from the same colleges of education. School choice doesn't fix it. I'm sorry. That's the way it is. And to illustrate that, I want to show you the plans and the presentation of a real school district that we have really been watching for a while now, the Cambridge, Massachusetts School District, right down the street from Harvard University. This is not material you're going to see anywhere else, just so you know. I will probably be the only person on the internet reporting on what I'm about to show you. Roadrunner says, please clip and post the last few minutes. I've been trying to convince my friends to homeschool. This may help. I will do my best, Roadrunner. Thank you for that. So, guys, what we're going to see now, this is a real PowerPoint deck from a school committee presentation from the Office for Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging at the Cambridge, Massachusetts Public Schools. I have covered the Cambridge schools extensively on my Substack. In fact, let's go back. Cambridge. I've got this article about a teacher trainer in the Cambridge, Massachusetts Public Schools believing that we should abolish capitalism and whiteness. She charged, by the way, $32,000 for a weekend of training in the Cambridge, Massachusetts schools in order to convince them of this. I also have this article about the Pride Week that the Cambridge, Massachusetts Public Schools did for both middle school and high school students. That was one of the presenters they had for Pride Week. No joke. See, this is all Cambridge. This is an adult industry sexpert that they had come speak to the students for Pride Week in the Cambridge, Massachusetts schools. She's literally up for an adult entertainment award. She really doesn't like capitalism. Thinks everyone is racist that doesn't agree with her. Got all her tweets there. They also had this drag performer do a workshop for the kids. That's really nice. I bet that went really well. They also had this queer activist to do a presentation for the kids. Again, parents were not allowed to attend any of this. You can find this all on my website, carlin.substack.com. I am fairly certain I am the only person on the internet to report on any of this. And then here is this was the teacher trainer for the Cambridge, Massachusetts schools, which charged $32,000 for a weekend of training. I found an online video of her saying, being an abolitionist is anti-capitalism because there's a connection between capitalism and slavery. And honestly, to me, that's whiteness. And we have to eradicate whiteness and abolish whiteness as well. So that is your brief introduction to the nightmare that is the Cambridge, Massachusetts School District. I do have parents in that school district send me stuff every so often. And so that's how I got this. And this is their updated report on all of the things that they're doing to affirm the children in Cambridge, Massachusetts, including youth support and affirming them, educator professional learning, family engagement, and partnership. And what I love about this is the Cambridge, Massachusetts schools were so helpful because they gave us a whole roadmap that talks about the evolution of equity work in the Cambridge, Massachusetts schools. So we can see all of the things. I'm going to be doing an article about this on my Substack, but you can find the slides if you want to follow along. I'll pop the Google Docs in the chat. This is their official Google Docs page. So we've got their entire timeline of equity work in the Cambridge, Massachusetts schools, which started in earnest 2016 to 2017. Equity and racial equity are identified as a district policy. In 2017 through 2018, equity and access is identified as a strategic objective. In 2019, they started building out committees on this stuff. In 2019 through 2020, they started creating offices around this stuff. The official Office of Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging was created in 2020. They drafted their initial equity plan in 2021, which is, ironically, about 10 years later than other school districts were drafting their equity plans. So believe it or not, Cambridge, Massachusetts was actually late to the equity ballgame by about 10 years. I really am surprised it took them this long. And then they've got their equity roadmap all set for this coming year. And then this last one over here, I know you can't read it. I know it's really small, but this last little block over here says, becoming an anti-racist, anti-biased district. The goal of the Cambridge, Massachusetts schools is to become an anti-racist school district. And they consider equity to be a verb. The reason that they consider equity to be a verb is because equity is something that you have to do. I thought this slide was interesting. culturally responsive engagement. Here we've got students over here. We have caregivers over here, which what word? Can anyone guess what word is missing on this slide? We have students, we have school leaders, we have community partners, we have district leaders, we have educators. What word is missing on this slide about all of the people who are going to impact the lives of students? Yes. Parents, everyday therapists with the gold star. Parents, 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 parents. No, I'm going to guess that they called them caregivers. So that's nice. Now we are being introduced to the equity staff at the Cambridge, Massachusetts School District. And what I want you guys to notice is everyone that has a little orange thinger over their head, those are new positions. So it used to be Manuel is the chief equity officer. Leslie, I actually have Leslie's dissertation from Harvard, in which Leslie wrote a whole dissertation outlining exactly how they made the Cambridge, Massachusetts schools an anti-racist school district. And I have it somewhere. But now they're adding all sorts of new positions to the equity office at the Cambridge, Massachusetts School District. So I think that's really interesting. We've got Sam here, who kind of looks non-binary, as a youth advocacy specialist. They've got training and curriculum specialists. They've got family engagement, which I actually don't mind family engagement if I'm honest about it. I think that can be okay. You're right. Actually, who said there's no cis white males? So you're right. You're right. There's no cis white males. I didn't even realize that. That's hilarious. Yep. So lots of stuff going on there. And then, of course, one of the biggest priorities for the Cambridge, Massachusetts School District is in supporting and affirming everything the kids want. They're starting their events for these kids in middle school. And look at this. They're doing their this is CRLS is the main high school in the school district. They're doing an equity summit for kids. Kids can go to this equity summit and they can go to workshops. In fact, a lot of the workshops in the Cambridge, Massachusetts schools, the kids are actually leading. So that's really great. And then they've got youth engagement initiatives. Oh, look, SEL. Our favorite teen health surveys. Look at this. Working with SEL and health and wellness teams, student feedback on mental health interventions. So they're using student information to do mental health interventions with students in the schools. Maybe not notifying the parents. We don't know. Let's see what else. Oh, look, rainbow clubs. Rainbow clubs. So they're supporting and affirming LGBTQIA plus youth with rainbow clubs, create inclusive and affirming spaces for LGBTQ plus youth, kids from LGBTQ plus families, and allies, led by safe space advocates. They've got that Community Pride Day that I already showed you about. That would be that Community Pride Day right there. Let's see, that's not what I wanted to do. Back over here. So Community Pride Day had, check this out. So that one that I just showed you about with the adult industry sexpert and the drag queens and the queer activists and the straight up Marxists. So we now have some numbers. 100 plus students from grades 6 through 12 attended that Community Pride Day that I told you about. A 9th grader said, I felt an overwhelming sense of great community and really felt like I found people who make me feel like I belong. And they're doing it again, guys. Friday, June 2nd. Another Pride Day. It's going to be great. And by the way, I just want to mention one more time. They forbid parents from coming to the Pride Day presentations. It said it on their website. Hang on, I can show you. Oh, shoot. I just accidentally, hang on. I'm going to show this to you, though. Hopefully it comes up correctly, even though I spelt it wrong. Oh, it did. Excellent. It knew what I meant. But let me show you this. The registration says it's just for students. Can I still come as an adult? Adults are welcome to join us for the parent panel and food at 6 p.m. Parents and caregivers are invited to family activities at 6 as well. Workshops are for grades 6 through 12 only. That was on their Pride Day website. They explicitly forbid parents from coming to the workshops. I wonder why. Julie, thank you for the super chat. Carlin, at some point, I'd love to share my story about why I started homeschooling my son in 3rd grade back in 2015 after spending 2 years volunteering at his school. It was absolutely worth it. Julie, I would love to hear it. Can you send me an email at activilyunwoke@gmail.com and let me know how you'd like to share it? You're welcome to come on the stream. You can do a write-up. Maybe you could even do an article for Actively Unwoke. However you want to do it is fine. Or if you just want to tell me privately, that's fine too. But I would really love to hear that, and I think other people would benefit from it. So let me know what you would like to do. Let's see. They have, of course, educator and professional learning. Let's see what they've got on the docket. Oh, in 2021 and 2022, they had 3 courses about becoming an anti-racist and anti-bias educator. I showed you those courses on this channel because we did a FOIA request for them. So I have the files. They also did gender and intersectionality in middle and high school. I have the files for that as well. And good news, guys, they're going to do those again. So the 2022-2023 school year, they got Safe Space Advocates, Community of Practice. And of course, we're going to do Becoming an Anti-Racist and Anti-Bias Educator again. And I have all the files for what they did for that. So we already know what they're going to be teaching. And spoiler alert, it ain't good. They've got specific types. Oh, look at this. A specific department professional learning for special start. And they're going to do teaching with intentionality through an equity lens, special start, which is 3 full-day professional learning workshops. That's nice. Quote here. I used to think that diversity and equity training stopped at belonging and inclusion and just hit on a lot of buzzwords, and that as early educators, we didn't hold much power or any power in the systems at play. Now I think anti-bias work has to start in early education. So I will commit to better serve my students. All right. Some more professional development there, culturally conscious education, culturally responsive teaching. Other professional learning opportunities, you can do more anti-racism work if you wanted. And check this out. This was one of my favorites. The Cambridge, Massachusetts School District are going to be doing an elementary math equity lab in which they are asking the question, how might we disrupt racial inequity in elementary math classrooms? That's what it says. In Cambridge, Massachusetts, they are teaching the teachers that it is their job to disrupt racial inequity in elementary school math. This is a really good question. This says for public view. What is the private view? That would be something to FOIA. Additional educator engagement. They have race and affinity teams for their teachers. They've got all sorts of family engagement stuff. There actually wasn't a whole lot of there wasn't a lot of stuff that I was that raised an eyebrow for me in the family engagement section, if I'm honest about it. And again, I don't have a problem with them doing family engagement. I actually think that that's good. And here's their equity collaborative for 2023. They have over 20 projects. Some projects are led by students, like Rainbow and Pride Clubs, events, 2 Black Summit events, Students of Color Coalition, African American Student Initiative, consent workshops, Good Trouble. They also have projects run by educators, and they have projects run by multi-school partners. And let's see. just some additional self-assessment stuff, audit stuff, and then reminding everyone once again that equity is a verb. That means you always have to be doing it. And that's it. That's what's going on in the Cambridge, Massachusetts school district. And guys, I promise you, your school district probably has some sort of PowerPoint like this, so I would get my hands on it if I were you. But let's move on, guys. Please mount that like button for me. If you would be so kind, mounting the like button lets people know to come and join us in the stream. It makes sure YouTube recommends my channel a little bit more than YouTube likes to recommend it. Also, please make sure you are subscribed. As a reminder, I stream every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 5 p.m. unless there's a special event. And then it might be a different time, like tomorrow might be a special event. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. But I want to keep going. And this was breaking news, actually, right before I went live. So I haven't even had the chance to read this yet. But you guys do know I keep a close eye on the schools in Vermont because Vermont is communist. And it turns out that Vermont's Republican governor is also a communist. This just in from the Hill, Vermont governor signs bills protecting access to abortion and gender-affirming care. I don't know why the Republican Party doesn't kick Phil Scott out, if I'm honest about it. That's just me. Vermont Governor Phil Scott, a Republican, on Wednesday signed into law legislation hailed by LGBTQ groups as one of the nation's most comprehensive transgender and reproductive health care packages. Together, Vermont's House Bill 89 and Senate Bill 37, both of which were signed into law Wednesday by Scott, established a slate of protections for both providers and seekers of gender-affirming health care, as well as those seeking or administering abortion. Scott is the second Republican governor to sign legislation into practice, including Charlie Baker, another person who should get kicked out of the Republican Party, but he's not governor anymore in Massachusetts. House Bill 89, introduced in January by a group of Democratic legislators, including State Rep. Taylor Small, Vermont's first and only openly transgender lawmaker, declares that access to gender-affirming and reproductive health care is legally protected under Vermont state law. Interference with legally protected healthcare activities, whether or not under the code of law, is against the policy of the state, reads the measure, which will take effect in September. As a reminder, 44% of the students in the Burlington, Vermont school district identify as either LGBTQ, queer, or gender nonconforming. 44%. So I'm sure no one is going to get, no one's going to get wrongly transed in the state of Vermont. Definitely not going to happen. It's not that almost half of the students in the Vermont school right now think they're queer or gender nonconforming. Nope. House Bill 89 additionally shields individuals seeking either gender-affirming healthcare or an abortion, as well as their doctors, from civil or criminal litigations. Under the second bill, health insurers in Vermont are required to provide coverage. Check this out. Health insurers in Vermont are required to provide coverage for gender-affirming and reproductive health care. That's great. Go Vermont. You never quite disappoint. All right, guys, I want to shift gears now, and I want to just look at a couple crazy things that leftist news organizations are saying. And the first one I want to look at is this. NBC News is trying really, 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 really hard to make it seem that Republicans taking over a school district was like a bad thing. Look at this Twitter thread they wrote. They wrote this yesterday, and they've attached this article to it. I'll pull up. Trump was great at this, how conservatives transformed a Colorado school district, but they're going to make it seem like it's bad. Check this out. I just think this is funny. New conservatives took over a Colorado school board and then adopted a right-wing group's social studies program, did not reapply for grants to pay counselors, and 40% of the high school's professional staff won't return next year. Do you know what I think about 40% of a high school staff not returning. I think that's a really good start myself. Does anyone else feel like that? That, like, if 40% of we just saw in the Cambridge, Massachusetts schools how big their equity office is alone. Wouldn't it be great if 40% of them just decided to quit? I think that would be pretty good myself. Let's see what else they said. When a conservative slate of candidates won control of the school board in Woodland Park 18 months ago, they began making big changes to reshape the school district. After teachers protested, employees were barred from discussing the district on social media, and some were forced out. Oh, so they told employees who were getting paid a taxpayer-funded salary by the school district that they couldn't shit talk the school district on social media? Oh. Those sweeping shifts were taken from the MAGA playbook designed to catch opponents off guard, according to a board member's email. Divide, scatter, conquer, said one of the new conservative school board members, wrote to another. Trump was great at this in his first 100 days. Well, listen, at least they're learning something. At least they're learning, they're keeping, they're learning how to be somewhat strategic. I got to give them credit for that. The school board installed a new superintendent late last year. Ken Witt had previously been recalled from another school district after he backed a plan to make classes more patriotic. Now, as a reminder, the teachers union in Colorado, I covered this earlier this week. The teachers union in Colorado just voted to denounce capitalism. And it was a resolution that was introduced by an actual Marxist. I covered it over on the Substack. Hang on, I'll show you if you missed yesterday's stream. If you want to see evidence that the Colorado school district adopted a resolution denouncing capitalism that was introduced by an actual Marxist, you can go in that article. There it is. So NBC News is trying to make it seem like this teacher was forced out after saying that we should have more patriotic education. I mean, we're talking about a state in which the teachers are quite literally openly Marxist. So of course, they're going to force out anyone that is not openly Marxist. Now, I will say this, though. I'm not in favor of any indoctrination in schools. I'm not in favor of left-wing indoctrination in schools. I'm also not in favor of right-wing indoctrination in schools. So I want to know what that meant by more patriotic classes, because I don't want people to become robots that don't question their country. I remember what it was like to be anti-war when the war in Iraq first started. If you were anti-war when the war in Iraq first started way back in the 90s, you were labeled as a traitor because you were anti-war. And they said this is not the time to speak out against no, actually no, it wasn't even the 90s. It was when George W. Bush was in office, wasn't it? So like the 2000s. You were labeled no, that was September 11th. I'm mistaking them. I thought I was thinking of a different thing. I'm talking about September 11th. After September 11th, if you questioned the war in Iraq at all, you were labeled as a traitor. If you questioned George W. Bush at all, you were labeled as a traitor. Thank you, guys. It took a second. I got there. Yeah, anti-war people in Vietnam were harassed. So I want to be very clear. I don't necessarily think that a patriotic education that teaches that if you question what's going on, that makes you a traitor. I don't think that's good either, and I wouldn't endorse it. But we also need to look at context that this person was probably forced out of being a superintendent because they're not an effing Marxist. When students protested, they called them pawns of the teachers union. Well, they probably were pawns of the teachers union. At the meeting in March, Witt told staff members he prioritized academic achievement, not student emotions. Well, burn the witch. My word. We are not the Department of Health and Human Services, he told teachers, according to a recording made by staff and shared with NBC News. Oh, so what you're saying, Colorado, what you're saying is that teachers in Colorado are secretly recording conversations with the school superintendent and then leaking them to the media? Is that what I'm getting, teachers in Colorado? So then you guys are going to have no problem at all when we infiltrate your Educator Institute for Equity and Justice conference and stream that shit all over the internet because you guys are recording your conversations with the superintendent and then leaking it to NBC News. I mean, I just think what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Is anyone else with me on that? If they can secretly record conversations, I think we can record shit too. Why not? Staff members tried to explain why it was critical to address students' emotional well-being, citing recent local homicides. Employee, we had a murder-suicide. Witt, did you have a social worker at the school? Employee, yes. Witt, did it still occur? Yeah, fair question. That same week, Laura, the district's mental health supervisor, had a call with Witt to press him on reapplying for $1.2 million in grants for the district's mental health professionals. Witt would not comment or commit to reapplying for the grants, and Magnuson resigned. Oh. So basically, they fired the social emotional learning team. That's a real shame. Zian Rogers, a sophomore, says he had a friend die and others who have depression. He said he doesn't think the board understands how important mental health staff is to the district. Well, that seems a little like emotional blackmail to me. I'm just saying. But it is interesting to see NBC's news framing of it. I wonder if when we record this conference and then broadcast it all over the internet, do you guys think that NBC News is going to report on it? I don't think NBC News is going to report on it. Now, to be fair, I don't think conservative media is going to report on it either because they're fucking useless. They don't like people knowing what's really going on. But whatever. We're going to do our part. We're going to report on it. And that's all we can really do. All right, guys, our second to last article that I want to look at today, I want to read an article from good old MSNBC. MSNBC is just always good for a laugh. It's always good to read an article in which a group of people, a group of leftists, is trying to analyze conservatives. But I promise you, MSNBC does not understand conservatives at all. I've actually thought recently, let me see what you guys think about this idea. I've actually thought, because I feel like I have a really good understanding of like the language that all the different political groups speak. I know how to speak socialist. I know how to speak leftist, which is slightly different than socialist. It's slightly less left than socialist. That like MSNBC is leftist, not quite socialist. But I know how to speak socialist. I know how to speak leftist. I know how to speak Democrat. I know how to speak Republican. I know how to speak conservative. I know how to speak MAGA. I know how to speak alt-right. I know how to speak libertarian. I know how to speak all these different political languages. I have thought lately about saying to like leftists, I'm like, do you guys need a conservative translator? Do you guys need someone to explain to you how conservatives think and what conservatives mean and what conservatives actually believe and what they care about? Do you guys need someone to translate for you? Because I'll do it. You guys want to pay me money to be the conservative translator? I will tell you what they really think. I thought that would be funny. Anyway, let's read this article from MSNBC. In the new Republican worldview, almost all news is fake. Republicans are showing some alarming signs when it comes to media consumption. Well, no, I mean, I would argue that Republicans are actually waking up. Look at that. That's such a great picture. Man. It's no secret that political polarization plays a big role in determining which news outlets Americans tune into. But a new survey hints at something different and more troubling. Republicans appear to be developing a mistrust of most news operations altogether. The MAGA fake news smears have metastasized into a deeper problem. Well, thank God for small favors. Republicans appear to be developing a mistrust of most news media. Hallelujah, praise the Lord. A recent survey of 1,500 Americans conducted by YouGov, a British internet analytics firm, documents how much, or how little, Americans trust scores of different media outlets were broken down by partisan affiliation. At first blush, the results seem predictable, with Democrats reporting a much higher trust than Republicans in many mainstream centrist or center-left media outlets, such as the Associated Press and PBS. Okay, can we pause? MSNBC is calling PBS, which is the public broadcasting system, a center-left media outlet. Isn't PBS funded by taxpayers? Why does PBS have a political leaning? Why does the Associated Press have a political leaning? I mean, I'd like an answer to that too. The Associated Press, when I was back in the day when I was in school, when I had to walk uphill both ways and then wear shoe boxes on my feet for shoes and all that crap, like back in the day when I was young and stupid, the Associated Press was supposed to be the neutral arbiter. And PBS is publicly funded. So why do they have a political slant? I'm just saying. But Vox's Zach flagged something surprising in the poll. More Democrats than Republicans report trust in many conservative media outlets, including the Daily Caller, the New York Post, and the Washington Examiner. For example, when it comes to the National Review, a conservative journal founded by famous conservative intellectual William F. Buckley, Democrats' net trust in the magazine comes out at 20%, while Republicans is a mere 3%. You know what I love about this? Republicans are now distrustful of their own media. This is like a miracle sent from heaven. Not only are Republicans distrustful of like the standard goodies like the New York Times and the Washington Post and of course MSNBC, they don't trust all of them, but now Republicans are actually learning to distrust their own effing media, which is exactly what they should be learning because their own effing media is lying to them. The New York Post, an iconic right-wing tabloid, shows similar margins. In fact, the survey found only a handful of media outlets that were trusted by more Republicans than Democrats, including Fox News, Newsmax, Breitbart, and One American News. All right, well, I suspect that the numbers on Fox News would be a little bit different today. Just a hunch. Notably, out of all these outlets, Fox News is the only media outlet that a majority of Republicans trust. Not anymore. The rest of the outlets are only favored by a plurality. The picture that emerges from these poll results is that Republicans are extremely mistrustful of the media landscape as a whole. It's not surprising that they mistrust center-left or progressive outlets like The Guardian or MSNBC. Wait. MSNBC thinks they're center-left. Can we all just have a moment of, can we all point and laugh at MSNBC for a second? I want to see a chat full of pointing and laughing, however you want to manifest that. MSNBC thinks that they're on the center left. MSNBC thinks they're moderate. Like you're not, MSNBC, you're not serious about this. Come on. Everyone point and laugh. Come on. Come on. No. MSNBC. Time for real talk, MSNBC. Time for real talk. You're not center left, MSNBC. No. No one thinks you're center left. Literally no one in the chat thinks you're center left. No, MSNBC. Come on. Come on. Thank you guys. That was our moment of zen. Thank you for that. But they didn't even have the trust in a number of famous right-wing outlets, perhaps in part because publications like the National Review and the New York Post have been critical of former President Donald Trump, or perhaps because today's Republicans are generally suspicious of the old guard, establishment right-wing journalism. It appears that Republicans seem to only trust overtly protagonistic right-wing media outlets that do not follow the party line, but specifically Trumpism. One caveat on Republicans mistrusting several conservative media outlets is that some poll respondents may have been rating levels of trust in some media outlets they didn't know well. They may have misjudged affiliations or made guesses based on only the faintest familiarity with the brand name. But it's likely that some Democrats were also making mistakes or rating trusted media outlets based only on vaguest impressions as well. Well, yeah, sure. Even factoring this possibility in, the findings are worrying. The results show that there are far more willingness among Democrats to say a good number of possibly disagreeable outlets deserve some trust, while the default Republican outlook was to do the opposite. After years and years of propaganda from Trump and the MAGA activist scene, the right displays an intensifyingly reflexive skepticism towards any media outlet that doesn't entirely reflect their vision of reality back to them. Even more worrisome is that this trend will create a feedback loop that will make the problem only get worse over time. Dun, dun, dun. It's always nice to peer into the eyes of insanity that is an MSNBC, isn't it? Well, guys, we're up to our last article of the day, and I wanted to end on something fun. I wanted to end on this. What the hell is that? Photographer captures UFO at coronation. Why do I always have this bad word blocker on? Is it there we go. That's better. That's better. So, of course, you guys know I'm obsessed with all things royal. I also like aliens too. Look at that. Some guy captured a photo of a UFO in the flyover at the coronation. Check this out. We'll look at the video. I know I'm not playing the sound, but look at that. Look at that. What is that? What is that in the sky with the flyover? The coronation of Charles III was truly out of this world. A photographer capturing the historic event claims to have snapped images of a UFO, which was seen in the background of the Royal Air Force Red Arrow planes during the flyby of overcast London. It's not a bird. It's too big to be a bird, Rachel. Way too big to be a bird. That would be one giant mother effer of a bird. It's not a bird, guys. Come on. We'll look at a picture in a second. That is not a bird. That is one giant mother effer of a bird, if that's a bird. When I did, the weather was so bad. See, look at this. Already debunked. The weather was so bad, there were no birds in the air, and I couldn't really see the planes, so I didn't check the photos until later, said Simon, a 59-year-old shooting from his 13th floor of the apartment building in Limehouse. When I did, though, I spotted this weird object and just thought, what the hell is that? The small and reddish object he captured, Balson claims to have no idea what it could be, looks closest to a sideways heart and was apparently observed above the jets while they were in a triangular formation headed towards the London Mall. So that's what it is right there. That is one big mother effer of a bird, if that's a bird or a balloon or anything like that. I enhanced the image and tried to increase the spec to see what it was. It looks like a floating acorn or something. All I could get is that it was a little bit of a red top, and I have no idea what it could be. So you can see there's the extreme close-up. Adding to the X-Files X phenomenon, Belson claims that there's been a lot of unexplained sightings in East London recently. So fun fact, we have a member of my community that learned how to use her iPhone to capture UFOs on film around the Dallas area. And essentially, like, she took a whole bunch of video on like some extreme slow-mo of a setting, and then she looked at it later, and she actually captured UFOs on video. We saw it. We saw it in the community. People in the community can confirm. And they were these little things that were like, nee. They were flying all over the place in these weird angles. They weren't birds or anything. They were way too big for that. But the only way that you could see them was by slowing down the video. So you can't see it on like normal, but you can see it slowed down. It was freaky. Yeah, that doesn't look like a balloon. If it's a balloon, like, that shape is really out of whack, and it's also one giant mother effer of a balloon. It does look like it could be Paddington Bear's hat, but what is Paddington Bear's hat doing in the air on a flyby? I'm just saying. Look at that crowd. Holy hell. There have been a lot of strange UFO sightings recently, so I thought other people might be able to guess what it was. Just last month, the Pentagon released footage of a UFO over an active combat zone in the Middle East, and in January, a bizarre saucer-shaped object was seen hovering over a soccer match in Mexico. So, guys, I don't know what it is, but it looks crazy to me. Isn't that nice? The aliens are among us. Can the aliens just please show up? I am so sick of this. I want the aliens to show up. I want them to tell us everything that we're doing wrong. I want them to deliver us their healing technology. It'd be great. It'd be great. All right, guys, that's all I have today for the show. Now, as a reminder, please make sure, hang on. Please make sure you are subscribed over on my Substack, carlin.substack.com. And later today, I'm going to be posting some of the information that we found about this Educator Institute for Equity and Justice conference. And I'm going to be giving people an opportunity to sign up on a list to help us infiltrate this conference. All right. And we're going to have a big group effort. Everyone is invited, but if I don't know you, you're going to have to go through a vetting process, because we only want to have people that are actually on our team. And I know many of you, and I think that I know the people who are going to want to be involved. But I am going to be creating a little bit of a list to start to kind of organize this. We are going to infiltrate this conference. We're going to do it in person, and we're going to do it online. Ain't nothing they can do about it. And we're not going to be disruptive in any way. We're going to let them do their thing. We're not going to cause problems for them. We're not going to cancel them. We're not going to try to silence them. All we want to do is to hear what they're saying and what they're talking about. We're going to pay them for admission and everything. I just want people to know about it. And we're going to be putting a group together for that. It's going to be great. And so make sure you are signed up on the Substack. Again, carlin.substack.com. Please subscribe for free. And I will be sending out more information later today. And I may be going live just a smidgen later tomorrow, because there is a socialist stream tomorrow. And I think it starts at 6 p.m. So we may go just a little bit later. We're going to have to see. I need to go see what the stream is about. But I will be announcing that on The Cult, which is thecult.substack.com. And you can get in touch on there and sign up and get updates about when I'm going to be going live. Of course, you can always check back on the channel. I'll post more information there. But guys, that's all I have for today. Naruto says, just heard Sum 41 is breaking up. Did I just agree myself? LOL. Yeah, I heard about that, but they had a good run, Naruto. So what can you do? And they're still going to go on a world tour or something. So, best of luck to them. All right, guys, please mount that like button on the way out the door. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Take care. Have a good one. We'll see you soon. Bye.